There is a moment most men have experienced but rarely talk about. You are in a room, a social gathering, maybe a casual place like a coffee shop or a work event, and there is a woman nearby who seems completely at ease, laughing and engaging with the people around her. You want to say something, you want to be noticed. But somehow, despite your presence, despite your effort to appear confident, she never really looks your way. And later, when you replay the moment in your mind, you cannot pinpoint what went wrong. You were there, you were present, but somehow, you were invisible. What is frustrating is not just that she did not notice you. What is frustrating is that another man in that same room, who did not seem to be doing anything spectacular, somehow captured her attention without even trying that hard. He did not say something extraordinarily clever. He was not the tallest or the most classically handsome. But something about him pulled her focus. And you could feel it happening in real time, which made it even more confusing. Here is what most men miss entirely. Attraction at its early stages is not built on grand gestures or impressive achievements. It is built on small things, tiny behavioral signals that women pick up on almost unconsciously. Signals that communicate something about the inner world of a man before he ever says a single meaningful word. And once you understand what those signals actually are, you will never look at social interactions the same way again. If this kind of insight into social dynamics and human behavior is something you want more of, consider subscribing to this channel. Every video here is designed to help you understand the patterns behind attraction and social behavior in a way that is calm, clear, and genuinely useful. Welcome. The first small thing that makes women notice you faster than almost anything else is the way you occupy physical space. Not in an aggressive or performative way, but in a settled, unhurried way. A man who sits with his shoulders slightly back, who moves without rushing, who does not constantly readjust his posture or cross his arms tightly across his chest, communicates something powerful before he speaks. He communicates that he is comfortable in his own skin. Women are extraordinarily observant when it comes to body language, and what they are unconsciously scanning for is whether a man feels at ease in his own presence. Tension in the body reads as social anxiety, and social anxiety, even when it is mild, tends to make a person less noticeable in a positive sense. Relaxed physical presence, on the other hand, creates a kind of quiet gravity that draws attention naturally. The second small thing is how you listen. Most people are not actually listening when someone is speaking to them. They are waiting to respond. They are thinking about what they will say next, or they are scanning the room, or they are distracted by their phone. A man who genuinely listens, who maintains steady and calm eye contact, who nods at the right moments, who responds to what was actually said rather than what he was expecting to hear, this man stands out immediately. Women notice this because it is rare. Being truly heard by another person creates a feeling of significance, and the man who gives that feeling, even briefly, becomes memorable very quickly. The third small thing is a controlled and genuine smile. Not a constant smile, not a performative smile designed to seem friendly or approachable, but the kind of smile that appears naturally in response to something real, the kind that reaches the eyes. The difference between a genuine smile and a social smile is something that human beings detect instinctively, and women are particularly attuned to it. A man who smiles genuinely when something is actually amusing, and who is otherwise calm and composed in his expression, comes across as both warm and grounded. That combination is more attractive than most men realize. Before going further, I want to ask you something directly. Has there ever been a moment where you felt invisible in a social situation, where you were doing everything you thought was right, but you still could not seem to connect or get noticed? If that experience resonates with you, leave a comment below. You can simply write, "I have been there," and that is enough. You would be surprised how many men watching this right now have felt exactly the same thing. Sharing that experience here might remind someone else that they are not alone in this, and sometimes that small reminder changes everything. The fourth small thing is selective engagement. A man who tries to engage with everyone, who is constantly seeking approval or attention from the entire room, tends to dilute his own presence. But a man who is relaxed, who is selective about who he gives his full attention to, who can stand comfortably in a group without needing to dominate the conversation or be at its center, this man projects a kind of calm self-sufficiency that is deeply attractive. Women notice the man who does not seem to need to be noticed. There is something almost paradoxical about it. The less you chase attention, the more naturally it tends to come toward you. This is not a technique or a trick. It is simply what calm confidence looks like from the outside. The fifth small thing is how you handle small social frictions. Every social environment has moments of awkwardness, silence, disagreement, or mild tension. How a man responds to these moments reveals a great deal about his emotional stability. A man who becomes visibly uncomfortable during a pause in conversation, who over-explains himself when someone mildly disagrees with him, or who tries too hard to smooth over every awkward moment, signals emotional fragility. A man who can sit with a moment of silence without filling it anxiously, who can acknowledge a differing opinion without becoming defensive, who handles friction with a calm and even slightly amused composure. This man signals emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is one of the most underrated qualities in attraction. The sixth small thing is purposeful movement and deliberate action. The way a man moves through a space, the way he picks up a glass, the way he walks across a room, these micro-behaviors communicate either intentionality or restlessness. Men who are anxious tend to move in fragmented, slightly erratic ways. They tap their fingers, they shift their weight constantly, they glance around frequently. Men who are at ease tend to move with a quiet sense of purpose. They take their time, they are not in a hurry to prove anything or get anywhere. This deliberate quality in movement is one of those things that most people could not name if you ask them, but almost everyone responds to it unconsciously. The seventh small thing is the ability to be genuinely interested without being eager. There is a difference between a man who is interested in a woman and a man who is eager to impress her. Interest is calm, curious, and present. Eagerness is slightly desperate, slightly performative, and ultimately revealing of insecurity. When a man asks a question because he is genuinely curious about the answer, when he engages with what she is actually saying, rather than looking for ways to steer the conversation back to himself, when he is comfortable allowing moments of silence or lightness without forcing things forward, he creates a completely different emotional experience for her. She feels seen rather than evaluated. She feels engaged rather than managed. And that feeling of genuine interest without pressure is one of the most quietly powerful things a man can offer in any early social interaction. What ties all seven of these things together is something worth understanding clearly. None of them are about performance. None of them require you to change who you are or to pretend to be someone you are not. They are all expressions of a single underlying quality, which is comfort with yourself. A man who is genuinely comfortable with who he is, who does not need external validation to feel settled, who can be present without needing to manage how he is being perceived. This man naturally exhibits all of these small things without effort, which means that the real work is not about mastering 7 techniques. The real work is about developing a genuine relationship with your own sense of self-worth. Women do not notice these small things because they have made a conscious checklist. They notice them because these signals speak directly to something ancient and instinctive. They communicate safety, stability, emotional groundedness, and quiet confidence. And those qualities register before logic ever has a chance to catch up. The next time you're in a social situation, try releasing the pressure you put on yourself to be noticed or impressive. Instead, focus on being genuinely present. Listen with real attention. Move without urgency. Smile when something is actually worth smiling at. Engage with selectivity and calm. And notice how the energy in those interactions begins to shift, not because you have performed something, but because you have simply stopped performing. That shift is subtle, but the people around you will feel it, and the right people will notice.